National Assembly and State Assembly Election Petition Tribunal in Benue State has held its inaugural sitting. The inauguration of the tribunal marks the commencement of pre-hearing conference, which will last for 14 days. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice Hoha, is calling for the cooperation of all parties involved to enable the tribunal complete the assignment within the stipulated period of 180 days. Meanwhile, the other tribunal, which was slated to sit in Makurdi for the governorship election petition tribunal, has been moved to neighboring Nasarawa State.
I strongly advise that we should do away with technicalities. This is era for justice. Everybody is yearning for justice. This is not the time to play pranks. It's not the time to play technicalities. Let's go straight to the point. Let's get to the root, to the justice of the case, so that everybody is happy at the end of the day. Because decision, based on the justice of the case will appeal more, will satisfy more than when it's decided based on technicalities.
The governorship tribunal, yes, I became aware when I was about filing processes for APC. I became aware that the governorship tribunal has shifted to Lafia in Nasarawa State. For us, we are waiting for inaugural sittings for reasons to be advanced to us. For now, no reason has been advanced to us.
It was because of the number of panels were insufficient. That according to what the secretary told me from the Court of Appeal, that it was because of that reason that the members here will move to another state where they have multiple petitions. And the reason was that in Benue here we have so much election petitions for House of Assembly, National House of Assembly, while in Lafia there was less.
Well, a Rise analyst and lawyer Frank Tietie joins us now for more on the Presidential Election Tribunal. Good to see you tonight on News Night. Okay, so it's day 2. You want to walk us through the highlights, especially, of course, this issue that refuses to go away, which you are very fond of, calling for the televising of the proceedings during the tribunal sittings. What do we need to know today?
Yeah, well, we're still at the pre-hearing conference stage. So matters at this time can be brought for which all the parties can agree to. They don't need to contend about certain pieces of evidence. They need to also agree to the things they want to tender, and so that they don't waste time. Because as we speak, we are nearly 50 days or more have been lost from the 180 days. So the tribunal is really under pressure, and it's in their interest that they walk through this pre-hearing stage by sorting out matters that they don't need to really waste the time of the court on. But this issue is fundamental, and I'm happy it's coming up, because since 2016, when we had ardently convinced the National Judicial Council that allow live broadcast of court proceedings to the Nigerian public as demanded by the Nigerian Constitution. The good thing is that we have, I personally have a letter that was addressed to me by the National Judicial Council agreeing with our position when we contended that it is in the interest of the courts, it's in the interest of the justice, it's in the interest of the judges if ordinary Nigerians are able to watch court proceedings and not constantly begin to think that there's one mysterious element that shrouds the secrecy around court proceedings. And the CJN at that time agreed. But this PDP that is applying for this today, where were they? They were there in the House of Representatives when my brother and their friend, Honorable Ray Neju from Delta State, picked up our argument and applied to the National Assembly in a bill that there should be live broadcast of court proceedings. It didn't see the light of day beyond second reading. So there is no doubt about the fact
as
that
a chicken comes home to roost.
There is justice in the fact that it helps the judiciary, it helps the polity, and you can't imagine anything that is more important to Nigerians at this time more than the determination of this election. And you want the people back. Even lawyers can't get into that courtroom, whereas there are provisions in the Electoral Act that demand that all proceedings must be held in public, and nothing can be more public when you take the transmitters, the radio and television transmitters, to broadcast live what's going on. And there's nothing new, because Ghana has done it, Kenya has done it, and they are at peace today. So nobody should continually have the perception that judges have they are doing something secretive, and then they turn white to black and black to white. They should watch the demeanor of the judges. It's not only judges that should watch the demeanor of witnesses, and then see the judges and see the transparency of justice, and then it helps democracy.
It helps democracy is what you say, and of course, at the end of the day, it's up to the courts to decide if they will allow the cameras in or not. You know, I like the fact that you have mentioned Kenya, because yes, the Electoral Act as it stands right now provides 180 days for all of these cases to be done.
Constitution.
Well, as it stands right now, Kenya last year had an election, a presidential election, just like we had. And within a month, the case was done. And of course, there was an inauguration within a month. So the big question, yes, it seemed like as it stands right now, might not get, you know, all of the cases heard before May 29th. But there are some little cases, like some of them, I want to actually raise one, especially looking at issues like petitions, concerning the double nomination of the vice presidential candidate of the APC. Cases like that, is there a way that we can, you know, get those out of the way before
this is the
inauguration?
Well,
are you optimistic that can happen?
Of course, yes. There are cases that obviously lack merit, and even those who file those petitions know that they did that for one political reason or the other. The tribunal at this pre-hearing stage expects that the council, especially senior council that are representing these parties, are able to reach a point to set down the issues for the tribunal. The good thing about this stage is this: the parties themselves will agree that this matter is contentious, let's reserve it for hearing. This one is non-contentious, we agree as to these pieces of evidence, and we shouldn't argue about it. And then they only take contentious matters that require active determination of the tribunal before hearing. So in the next 14 days, which needs not be expired anyway, in the next 14 days, expectedly less than 14 days, these pretrial issues will be over, and then we will know exactly the contentious matters for which the tribunal needs to preside. And at that point, and most likely, so you'll find that there are certain things that will be withdrawn, and there'll be, even though there cannot be amendments, so to speak, especially of the petition, but there are certain things that can come which will be so irrelevant to the extent that the court will not need to do any form of hearing or adjudication on them.
All right, well, that point has been made over and over again, that you don't need all of the 180 days to exhaust, you know, this proceedings. But let's talk about the statement made by Justice Samani, the presiding judge, who's warning lawyers. He's saying, look, lawyers to all the petitioners, avoid waste of our time, avoid technicalities. Help us understand what some of these technicalities actually can be, and what that does to the case.
I think it's not fair on the part of the tribunal to give that forewarning. The reason is that we're talking a mixture of law and facts. You don't preclude a lawyer who strongly believes that this point is fundamental. For example, there are things that are cast in stone with regards to the Electoral Act, and especially in terms of timing, number of days, certain things cannot exceed. For example, the time is for responding to a petition, the time for pre-hearing, and all of those things are fixed. However, if a lawyer believes strongly that there is a certified true copy, a primary evidence, something that should be primary evidence, that is, which can only be a certified true copy, can only be tendered, and it doesn't appear to be so, you are now tendering something that has not been certified by INEC, and the lawyer needs to take his time to adumbrate, to explain, to argue how irrelevant that piece of document is. And no matter how much the other lawyer tries to justify his inability to get the certified true copy, will not matter. So these are matters of law, and these are matters of evidence.
Yeah, but where do you draw the line between, you know, attempts to take advantage and waste the time of the court, and the need to be very thorough in ensuring that you don't miss anything?
The most frequent way of wasting the time of the court is filing frivolous applications. For example, because every application that any of those parties, any of the counsel to those parties file, must be heard by the court. So imagine within the next 14 days, you see more than the current application for live broadcast or court proceedings, and several other applications asking for this, asking for that, asking for this. So whatever, and for every application that is filed, there must be be a response, that is a reply by the other party, and all the parties must reply. And the party who actually made the first application also has a right to reply to the response. So if the multiplicity of applications is which is a right, I must tell you, is a right to which these parties have, is a veritable way of actually wasting the time of the tribunal.
Well, some would want to disagree with you, Barrister Frank Tietie, because what you might call frivolous, others would say, it has some sort of merit.
That is the reason why it's worrisome when the president of the panel, gives the warning that don't waste the time of the court. So are you saying that a lawyer who meritoriously believes and is convinced in the Senate application that he must do, he shouldn't do it because he's afraid of the forewarning that the court has given? So I think...
Don't you think it will make the lawyers mindful of the need not to waste the time of the court?
No.
Having been more thorough, what they're filing.
What it may do, it may just... help the court, help the panel, the tribunal to form a certain mind about a party or about a council. But with regards, and that can actually affect the general outcome of the petition. So it's important that the council does not incur the wrath of the tribunal by filing frivolous and unnecessary applications which will waste the time.
Well, Barrister Frank Tietie, at the end of the day, pre-trial, which is what is ongoing right now, will take 14 days. And after then, of course, we get into the trial itself. Archbishop Emeritus of Abuja, Onayegon, had actually made a very strong case for the fact that we need to get this done as soon as possible.
Get it out of the way.
Are you optimistic that, somehow, some way, we can get this done as fast as possible so that we can go into the business of governance?
Nigeria is not Ghana. Nigeria is not Kenya. We've had a long-standing tradition of cases that take a long time in the judicial process, and so I've argued several times that with the constitutional provision that limits the electoral adjudication to 180 days, it's a golden development in Nigeria, because that same process could, in our normal way, take up to 10, 20 years. Now, it's actually discriminatory to think that we're placing so much emphasis on electoral cases. So what happens to cases that have to do with investments, cases that have to do with contracts, cases that have to do with other aspects of development? Why should it be that we're placing unnecessary priority in electoral cases? So the idea is we need to reform our administration of justice process in this country, or else we're placing 180 days. Why, that's fantastic. But given the size of this country, given the complexity of the elections, and the fact that the courts are now the ones who decide who actually win elections.
Which in itself, some say is an aberration. Yeah. Very quickly, the Benue Tribunal is moving to nearby Nasarawa State. I mean, I wonder why. Maybe you want to, talk about that. And very quickly, the issue of the formation of the presidential judicial panel is being put to question in terms of the reflection of the diversity of Nigeria. That issue is also being raised. Should we even be concerned about that at all? Should it even be discussed? Not at all.
The presumption is that you don't inquire into the social psychological, elements that surround the judge. You don't have to do that. The presumption is that whoever has been appointed the judge over a matter is there to do justice to it. I think we're going too far. We're bringing politics into into justice unnecessarily. If we begin to say this is a Christian and this is a Muslim and he is from this place and that, and in that case, no judge will be able to deliver justice on any matter, because one way or the other they will accuse him of bias, being if not from where he comes from or who he loves or who he marries or whatever he does or the church or mosque he attends and all that. So it should not be inquired into. Again, it is interesting that the tribunal is moving from Benue not to Abuja but to Nasarawa State. I just came from Kefit this evening, and I realized that yes, there's somewhat security around the Nasarawa area. The norm is to move tribunals from River State to Abuja and let them be sitting in Apo and all of that.
Nasarawa is closer to Benue than
yes,
Abuja.
but it tells you that there's some improvement in security, and that they are not moving into Abuja this time, but mainly to Nasarawa State, by that Kefi or Lafia. But you see, it's not a good thing that tribunals are not safe, that they are so troubled to the extent that they are now shopping for safe places. Probably we'll hear very soon that they are moving from Lafia to Kefi, and then maybe to Maraba, or they're back to Abu High Court here for safe hearing. That's bad. That's bad. And actually, anything can happen because of the tempers that are rising, because of the tensions that surround this unnecessary quest for power that has become very violent. Anything can actually happen, to the extent that tribunals can actually sit anywhere if there is guarantee from the police and the security authorities that the judges are safe. But it doesn't always appear to be so. A judge was killed in the southeast not too long while he was presiding. Anything can happen, actually.
Anything can really happen. And the fact that we have over 700 petitions scattered all across the country tells us something. But Barrister Frank Tietie, we say thank you for your in-depth analysis tonight.
Thank you as always.